I'm Martin Chaney. I'm the president of NewSpace Publishing. And we are publishing currently a quarterly magazine which is completely devoted to the explanation and promotion of the commercial spaceflight industry. It is currently available in a digital format, and we hope to have a printed format available when the first tourists step off their spacecraft. Commercial spaceflight is making progress, but interest and awareness is only among those early adopter markets, the science and the space community. There is, however, a much larger market that is not aware of commercial spaceflight and the promise it holds for helping those individuals realize their dream of traveling into space. Slide. NewSpace Publishing conducted market surveys, and we came up, as we spoke with people, we identified several obstacles that were prevalent as to why people did not understand or know about commercial spaceflight. 3 of those obstacles came in the form of what you see on the slides there. The biggest obstacle was the lack of knowledge about the commercial spaceflight industry. There was also a belief that only governments can build spacecraft, and those not seeing the benefits of commercial spaceflight. Those are the individuals that have forgotten how we all benefit on a daily basis from previous space research. These obstacles form a gap which keeps commercial spaceflight from being accepted by the mass market. So how do we bridge that gap? Next slide. We do it with NewSpace magazine. NewSpace magazine will address obstacles with articles showing that commercial spaceflight is a joint effort between private companies and government agencies. We will also show that companies are building safe, dependable, and economical spacecraft. Within the pages of the magazine, we will have articles by astronauts describing the thrill of weightlessness and the thrill of seeing the Earth without boundaries from the other side of the clouds. We will also have articles about the international space efforts that many people are not aware of, and also about educational space efforts, which many people are not aware of. The readers of NewSpace magazine will realize that it's okay to once again dream of traveling into space. Next slide, please. The market for NewSpace magazine initially is going to be made up of those that are interested in science and technology and science fiction. This will be the initial market for NewSpace magazine. According to the statistics that we gathered, recorded in 2008, there were 12 million people in the United States that were interested in science and technology. There were 11 million people interested in science fiction. There were also, of course, many moviegoers, so that anyone who walked into a Star Trek movie or a Star Wars movie is a potential subscriber of NewSpace magazine. This market is also full of individuals and companies, the people that run the companies, to become advertisers in the magazine as well. Okay, next slide, please. The competition. Yes, we have competition. There are many science or technical magazines that are available. These magazines over the last few years have run articles on the commercial spaceflight industry. However, that is not the focus of those magazines. There are also internet sites as well. And the internet provides volumes and volumes of commercial spaceflight articles if you're interested in wading through them to try and find information that is not a repeat and a repeat and a repeat of articles that you've seen before over the years. Excuse me. Next slide, please. The company NewSpace Publishing itself. It is a persistent and adaptive organization. We are continually networking inside and out of the global space community for articles and authors and ideas for promoting commercial spaceflight. We are also coordinating with other organizations on different ways that we can inform the public about commercial spaceflight. The company itself, in its daily operations, uses project management and process improvement methods that helps us to deal with identifying risks and opportunities. The board of NewSpace Publishing has a total of 60 years of business experience and 35 years of publishing experience. Next slide. Okay, sorry. The profitability of NewSpace Publishing is that in 2011, we will be establishing business foundation and also gathering information about article writers and such. We know that it's going to take a little while before the new space industry launches its first vehicle, and so we want to take advantage of that opportunity, that time, to establish ourselves within the space community and also to provide a lot of information about commercial spaceflight. So that being the case, in 2011, we are planning on continuing to develop partnerships and advertising and subscriber sales. In 2013, we plan to have the paper publication produced, and what that publication will do is provide us a great deal more income as far as advertising within the pages of the magazine. Next slide. NewSpace Magazine is seeking $150,000 in funding to get us through to 2013. As you can see, that we are looking at spending money on industry promotion, magazine production, magazine marketing, operations, and of course, we're going to hold back a little bit for contingencies. Next slide, please. It's important that you all realize that NewSpace Magazine is not just dedicated to a particular program like going to the moon or going to Mars. NewSpace Magazine is also not dedicated just to an organization. It's also important that you realize that NewSpace Magazine is not just reporting the news in the commercial spaceflight industry. NewSpace Magazine is about promoting an industry that has the potential to fulfill people's dreams. Thank you very much.
So maybe the first obvious question, why is it not just a blog online or something like that? I mean, the advantages of being up to date, being easier to distribute, cheaper to distribute, reaching more people. A magazine is a sort of novel approach to this in 2011. Yes,
and that's actually part of it, because one of the things that we have come to understand is that there were a lot of people who during the NASA space program of the 1960s who had the dream and carried it into actually the 70s as well. And what we're targeting, part of the market that we're targeting is those individuals that had that dream. And one of the things that's important about this is that we are, because of our digital format, we're appealing to a younger audience, an audience that is considerably more electronic literate. But we also want to produce the magazine because it's more tactile, if you will. You can rifle through the pages, you can carry it in your back pocket when you get in a conversation about commercial spaceflight. You can pull it out and say, hey, did you see this? Kind of a thing. So we're appealing to two different audiences with both a digital and a paper publication.
I kind of have a related question. I was actually recently in a meeting with a newspaper and magazine publisher in the area. The CEO stood up in front of the entire team and said, print is dead. What the hell do we do now? And the entire meeting was focused on brainstorming. And a lot of the conversation actually focused on mobile applications, iPhone apps, things of the like. Have you thought through that to kind of coincide with your digital dissemination of content?
Yes, sorry.
Mobile applications?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we have. And one of a Canadian distributor that we have been working with has an offering of those mobile applications as well. And so we've been talking with them to be able to put the digital version through those applications as well.
So whether you're talking about a paper subscription, a paper product with certain circulation, or a digital product where there's a certain activity level in terms of visits to a website, could you give us some sense? It's a chicken and egg problem. You can't get advertisers until you have subscribers, and you can't get subscribers until, you know, there's something to go look at and people have to pay for. So do you have in mind a crossover point, how many subscribers or users you're going to need to effectively attract advertisers? And maybe the associated question is, have you talked to advertisers, and how much demand or how much interest are you seeing for this product?
Yes. That is an absolutely excellent question, and we've run head-to-head smack into that particular situation. We have been talking with distributors as well, several of the nationwide ones. We've actually signed with one. And what we have found, and that is what you're describing is absolutely appropriate in regards to the chicken and egg thing. And one of the reasons why we decided to go with a digital publication initially is because of the interest level or the lack of interest level that we found. We realized that we have a lot more visitations to our website. A lot more people are staying there for 3 to 4 minutes on the website. And so it's going to be, well, it is much easier to convince advertisers to advertise on the website as opposed to a paper publication at this point. And so we are, in fact, counting a lot on the publicity that will surround the first flights of space tourism. And so what we are anticipating is that we will have that demand for a paper product, and we can solicit advertising because we'll be able to show the progress that we've made with the digital publication.
Could you explain what you mean by $55,000 to promote the industry? As it's more than a third of the funds you're asking for. I would think, you know, the Virgin Galactics and X-Cores with bigger funds and balance sheets would be mostly promoting the industry. It just seemed like an odd use of funds for a startup company.
Okay.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, right. The reason why, as I mentioned, is that one of the biggest obstacles is lack of knowledge. And so if the commercial spaceflight industry goes largely unknown, then that makes it difficult for us to turn a profit and produce a magazine. So we have to do what we can do, and hopefully this can be actually in concert with some of the companies like X-Core and Virgin Galactic, kind of a cooperative marketing, if you will, so that we can go after promotional areas that will bring commercial spaceflight to the forefront of people's minds. You know, maybe those areas where Virgin Galactic is not marketing. There are a lot of different areas outside of the space industry that we need to reach. So I didn't answer that question, did I?
It's a bit hard for you. Last night we had a dinner with 16 people, mostly NASA, and at the end of the dinner, our waiter came over and said how much he enjoyed listening to our conversation. He was a history student in college, and then he turned to George Whiteside and said how cool Virgin Galactic was and that people could go into space now. This morning I'm at the DoubleTree Hotel having breakfast, and our waitress came over and said how lucky we were to be in a hotel with 200 geniuses, and then how cool it was now that people for $200,000 could to fly into space. So I mean that was from one dinner to one breakfast. You know, two people serving us meals were both very aware of commercial space flight. So I'm not sure. It sounds like there's some bit of a missionary aspect to this business plan in terms of promoting space flight as opposed to being focused on making money in this niche. And I just
and rightly so.
understand.
And actually, you're correct in saying that, because for us to promote commercial spaceflight and make it well known in the general public is to get that public to purchase our magazine. And so one of the things that I would say is I wonder how many people that those two individuals that you saw between dinner and breakfast have talked with other individuals and found out what they were here for and all that. So I think there's going to be a lot of area where we're going to have to promote in order for us to be able to sell. And that's why there is such a larger amount of the requested funds for that purpose.